The Forgetting Woods. They say if you wander too deep into the cypress everglades, you'll start to hear it. The whisper of the trees, the sigh of the mud, the hum of something old and angry just beneath the surface. Folks who go too far off the trail sometimes don't come back the same, if they come back at all. You might find strange carvings in the trees. You might lose track of where you are. And if you're not careful, you might forget who you are altogether. Because the Everglades don't just drown the unwary. They take you, piece by piece, until you belong to them forever. You don't believe me? That's fine. The Cypress Everglades have plenty of time, and they're always hungry for new memories. It was supposed to be a weekend of rest. 5 women, Lena, Marcy, Dana, Jules, and Priya, packed into a dusty van and rumbled deep into the Cypress Everglades, a sprawling stretch of wild Florida wetland, thick with cypress knees and moss-choked trees. The air was heavy with rot and sweet decay, and the small rented cabin perched on stilts between the ancient swamp trees promised peace. No cell service. No distractions. Only stars and the endless drone of cicadas. The first night was uneventful. They laughed, told stories by firelight, and marveled at the way the swamp seemed to hum once the sun went down. A vibration just at the edge of hearing. The land alive with more than just animals. It was Lena who found the first drawing the next morning. It was etched into the bark of an old bald cypress near the outhouse, a crude figure with wide, hollow eyes and arms twisted into unnatural shapes. A thick black sap oozed from the grooves. At first, they laughed it off. Local pranksters, maybe. But then Marcy noticed more, dozens of them, etched into trees all around the cabin, all facing inward, all staring. By nightfall, unease grew into terror. Everywhere they looked, the trees seemed to watch. The drawings grew more detailed, some bearing unsettling resemblances. Lena's short hair, Dana's nose ring, Jules' clover tattoo. They argued about leaving, but the van refused to start, battery dead, engine silent, like something had drained the life from it. That night, Priya was the first to notice something missing. She forgot her mother's face. She sat by the fire, struggling, crying, trying to recall something so basic, so vital, and failing. The others comforted her, but soon, small details slipped from them too. Birthdays, hometowns, favorite colors. Memories peeled away like bark from dying trees. They tried hiking out the next day, but the swamp twisted strangely. Trails doubled back. Mud sucked at their boots like grasping hands. Trees loomed larger and closer, festooned with ghostly Spanish moss that whispered as it swayed. By nightfall, they stumbled back to the cabin, or something that looked almost like it. Everything smelled wrong, thick with damp earth and sour water. The drawings had changed. Now, full scenes were etched, the women wandering in circles, clutching their heads in confusion. And a figure watched them, not human, tall, skeletal, woven from vines and moss and driftwood, its mouth a hollow knot of rot. Dana was the first to say it out loud. "We don't belong anywhere anymore." And it was true. They could barely remember their own names. One by one, their panic dulled. The swamp song filled their heads, low and patient, a lullaby of surrender. They were no longer visitors. They were part of it now, guardians tied to the will of something ancient, something wounded. Because the Cypress Everglades had been hurt. The wetlands had been drained. Poison seeped into the water. Trees fell by the hundreds. Developers paved over sacred places with concrete and steel. The old spirit had woken from its long slumber not to beg for mercy, but to take it, to reclaim what had been stolen. The 5 women were only the beginning. Over the seasons, the cypress Everglades reached beyond itself, whispering along old waterways and forgotten trails, drawing in hikers, hunters, surveyors, tourists. Each who stepped too far from the beaten path began to forget. One by one, they joined the colony, moving silently among the cypress, carving warnings into bark, wading through knee-deep black water, watching. There were hundreds now. A slow, silent army of forgotten people, a living wall between the wounded swamp and the greedy world beyond. And the cypress Everglades? It waits. It hums. It forgets nothing. But it will make sure you do.